Hey everyone, my name is Melissa Rochelle and I am a holistic wellness and transformation coach. So let's talk about the 2 reasons why we self-sabotage. So number 1, it's because it confirms our story about who we are and what our worth is. And number 2, it feels safe and allows us to rationalize why it's best not to step outside of our comfort zones. So let me use a personal story here to illustrate what I mean by confirming our stories and why it feels safer. So my dream used to be to make it to the top of the fashion industry as a makeup artist. And I was self-taught, I worked really hard, and I did get onto the board of an international artist agency, okay? Now this is what happens. I'm very confident when it comes to my work. So if my work is front and center, I feel fine. As long as the focus is not on me, I'm good. It's my work that everyone is paying attention to. But once I got signed to the agency, things changed. It was no longer just my work or the quality of my work that mattered, but also me. I also had to put myself front and center. So when my agent would come to me and say, hey, I have this job for you, and it was on camera to do TV or behind the scenes footage on photo shoots, I would shy away from that. I was like, no, I'm good, and I would turn down those jobs. Now, why was I doing that? If my dream was to be at the top of the industry, you would think that every opportunity that I got, I would take it right away. But this was my convenient excuse. So all of us have a convenient excuse we use to self-sabotage to confirm our stories about what our worth actually is. And my convenient story was, I could not be a makeup artist at the top of my industry with my acne scars. That was my convenient excuse. I used having acne scars as an excuse as to why I could not possibly do on-camera work. Now, was that a fact or was that just my own internal self-talk sabotaging my desires? So how did I find out that it was not a fact that I had to have perfect skin in order to be at the top of the industry in makeup artistry? How did I come to that conclusion? So number 1, a lot of the other artists that I worked with that did on-camera work didn't have perfect skin either. But for some reason or another, they were able to do that work without second guessing themselves. And I say this to illustrate that maybe they had a different story. Maybe they were operating from a more secure internal belief system that they were good enough. Not their work was good enough, because that's easy, right? We can externalize and say, my work is good enough. But when we have the belief that we are not good enough, no matter how many times we tell ourselves, I am good enough, it just doesn't work out. And we just self-sabotage over and over like a hamster on a wheel. So what I would do is I would tell myself, okay, these acne scars are bothering me. So let me go to Ulta or let me go to Sephora and find some, creams and some cures and some lotions to get rid of these acne scars. Then I will be able to take this on-camera work. But this is what happened every single time. Every single time I would start using these creams and these lotions, and at about 2 weeks, I'd be like, I get discouraged. This isn't working. A few months would pass, I would do the same thing again. I'd buy another product, and I would try it for about 2 weeks, again, get discouraged and say, this isn't working. But this is the thing. Is it because the products were not working, or was it that it was a convenient excuse for me to get myself out of stepping outside of my comfort zone in order to reach the goals that I had set for myself? So I know for a fact now that it was simply a convenient excuse. Why? A few years later, as I did more of my own internal self-work after I left the industry, guess what? I magically was able to get rid of my acne scars. Was it because there were new products? Nope, the products were still the same as they were years ago. Was it that I had some magical cure or some magical awakening? No. What changed was my internal belief system. I did a lot of work on how I spoke to myself, my internal self-talk. I worked to try and figure out, where did these thoughts come from? Why did I think that I had to have perfect skin in order to be a makeup artist? So let me go back here a little bit, okay? So all of us love that magical time of puberty, right? Where all these amazing things happen. My acne scars were there since I was about 13 years old. And every time I would think about doing on-camera work, even as an adult, what my mind would picture would be me sitting in my living room with my aunts and my sisters, and everyone focused on my acne scars and saying, hey, you should try this. You can do this to get rid of it. And what was that doing? although their intentions were good and pure, what it ended up doing unintentionally was make me very self-conscious of my acne scars. So even as an adult working in the fashion industry, every time I thought about doing on-camera work, I'd picture myself in my living room as a 13-year-old girl feeling like I'm on display, like, at some sort of circus, that everyone is focusing on my acne scars. So it took me changing my beliefs, changing my story, recognizing that no, I'm just using this as a convenient excuse to get myself out of doing the things I need to do to get to where I want to get. And a few years later, doing that type of work, I did just that. I was able to clear my acne scars. So again, you guys, these are the 2 reasons why we self-sabotage. Number 1, it confirms our stories. My story was I was not worthy of living the dreams that I had set out for myself. So the first step I had to take was to change that story, that I am worthy, that I am good enough, and that I can get the things that I desire to get. And number 2, it was safer for me to use my convenient excuse that my acne scars were the reason why I couldn't make it. Now that my personal rant is over, how can you identify your convenient excuses? So it's a very simple process. Use if only, then I could statements. If only I had perfect skin, then I could be a top makeup artist. If only I had more money, then I could. If only I were skinnier, then I could. If only I weren't so shy, then I could. If only I had more time, then I could. If only I didn't have kids, then I could. If only I were in better shape, then I could. If only I had pretty privilege, then I could. These are the ways that you can identify what your convenient excuses are. These are the excuses you are using to rationalize yourself outside of having to get outside of your comfort zone in order to stop self-sabotage, in order to live the life of your dreams. Okay, you guys, so I hope you found this information to be helpful. Please leave a comment and let me know what you thought about it. And remember to like and subscribe. Thank you.